Morning, everyone, and welcome to the Power of Immersion, learning with VR, AR, and XR. Studies show that an immersive environment can do so much more than just wow the students. It can lead to improved comprehension and a deeper understanding. Now more than ever, we need to connect and engage with our students to have a more meaningful impact on their learning experience. You all are in for a real treat today because I have some friends up here with me that are very passionate and knowledgeable on this topic. Before we begin, let's just take a couple of quick notes. Please be sure that you are muted and remain muted until the end of the session so we can all have the best audio experience possible. Also, we'll be discussing some pre-selected questions, but if you have any during the session, please be sure to put them in the public chat pod that's at the bottom left corner of your screen, and we will be addressing those the best we can at the end of the session during our Q&A time. Lastly, today we're going to be sharing a couple of slides that may be difficult for you to view from where you're seated. In the top right corner of the presentation screen is a magnifying glass. You can click on that and zoom in so you can better see the screen if you'd like during the presentation. Those are the housekeeping items I have for now. So let's start off by getting to know our amazing group of panelists with a brief introduction. Todd, why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amanda. Good morning. Hi, I am. See if I can wave real quick to everyone. I can at least cheer. There we go. Good morning. I'm Todd Word. I'm with the Bella Group. We are a sales and marketing consultancy who helps companies bring their products to market and to help grow and scale their sales. We've worked very closely with Douglas Stewart and the team there over the last few years on a wide variety of clients in the education space. And I'm going to be here today as part of this panel talking about Shifu and our line of augmented reality toys and games for early learners for both the classroom and for homeschooling and distance learning. So thank you so much, Amanda, for having me here today and looking forward to it.
Great. Thanks, Todd. Laurent?
Thanks, Amanda. Hello, everybody. I'm Laurent Dodalto. I come from the research. I have a PhD in VR, dedicated to education, and I created a company called Members, French company that has an office now in Chicago too. And we are very much focused on manual skills. So we're trying to see how augmented reality, virtual reality, immersive world in general can fit to that, can attract newcomers, young people, and employ people to those jobs and make that jobs more visible because there's a lot of shortage in every works, in every trades today. So that's our core business of Members.
Laurent? Brooks?
Yes, thank you, Amanda. I'm Brooks Heater. I'm with Infinity Learning. We focus in the K-12 space on the application of curriculum by using immersive environments. So we send kids on choose your own adventure missions where they have to apply what they're learning in the classroom, or they might potentially suffer a horrific fictional death, or anything that is exciting and fun for them that way. We want to engage them and then help them apply their curriculum as a class in these collaborative choose your own adventures.
Thanks, Brooks. Dave?
Hi, and I'm Dave Dolan, and I'm with Viative. I'll say good evening because I'm coming to you from Japan. And with Viative, what we've done is we've created the world's largest library of interactive curriculum-aligned modules for VR. And that's for STEM and for ELL, for English language learning as well. And it's, for us, it's a great way to connect students with concepts, and then with analytics, connect teachers to those students as well. And that's what we've been about. Thank you.
Dave. Without further ado, let's head and jump in. Todd, based on your exceptional knowledge of augmented reality in education, what would you say to parents and educators who are worried about adding to the ever-increasing amount of screen time?
Well, Amanda, thank you for that delightful and insightful question. So truly, I think there are a couple of elements at play regarding screen time in education and really in general for kids. First is really kind of what you do with it. On average, based on our research, kids are already spending as much as 3.5 hours of screen time or more per day, and that number is only going to go up as more classrooms are adopting screens and are adopting technology. And that was before the pandemic introduced the idea of distance learning and Zoom classroom meetings and virtual learning to much of the world. Um, for us here at Shifu, the goal is really to transform as much of that screen time as possible for early learners, especially into a fun, engaging experience that kids will actually want to play with, while also providing modern learning methodologies and an adaptive learning environment based on the skill level of the child and the developmental tools for learning that parents and teachers are looking for at the same time. Because we think that screen time isn't inherently good or bad. It's really all about what you're doing with that screen time. And second is what technology like augmented reality allows you to do when having that screen time, which is to really introduce a tactile, hands-on approach to learning. AR, it's not just about staring at or looking at a screen. It's really about merging the physical and the digital worlds in a tangible, hands-on, kinesthetic way. We all know that the more senses that are engaged for students, especially for those early learners, the better the learning outcome is going to be. Being able to control a device, not just by pressing buttons on a screen, but by spinning a globe or playing a piano or putting letters on a board, actually physically touching things, creates multiple touch points and engages multiple different senses to help create a more engaged student who really at that point wants to learn because they're playing and because playing is fun. And the power of AR allows them to play and interact with physical objects in a way that digital alone couldn't do, and the way that kids have always wanted and needed to. And last but not least, as a shameless plug, after the panel, to learn more about Shifu's line of augmented reality learning toys for early learners, please come see us in the expo hall at booth B32. I had to make sure to get that in there. So that's there you go, Anna.
Much, Todd. Appreciate that. Laurent, I know that you are very focused on trades at Mimbus. How can immersive learning benefit this domain?
Yeah, I need to unmute if you want to hear me. So that's that. Thanks, Samantha. Yeah, well, I really, I think everybody here knows someone that has been in a traditional academic course, and probably at mid school, sometime high school, he dropped or she dropped, and finally, he or she found a way in another trade, in another way, often in trade, like becoming, I don't know, a lot of different. I remember one of very special guy is a French explorer. He was the first one to reach the North Pole, and this guy was a surgeon, was a very high and intelligent guy, but the initial background was a welder, and because he failed to the traditional curriculum, he went to welding. He was passionate with that, and that create attraction for the academic things. So that's really what we are focused on. On my side, I really think that we need to attract people to those trades. There's a several $billion missing in the construction because of workforce everywhere in the world. It's true for emerging country. It's true for, of course, big country like ours. It's true everywhere. We need to attract people to those trades, and those jobs change too, because they are more and more digitalized. You cannot become a plumber or a mason now if you don't know anything about the BIM, the digital building. And so you still have to learn the professional skill, the motion skills, but you need to adapt your education. And that's also more attractive for the new generation. So I really think that we need to attract them with the way they're communicating, with their own tool. So VR, AR is a tool they're using, like they're using smartphone, is something they are attracted to. We need to show them that there's interesting job that can be not only intellectual, but that can be talented job for hands-on people. And using this kind of technology, we can drive them to that job. That's quite funny because you're saying hands-on, manual jobs need to be done in reality, and that's the only way to understand. But when it's complicated, dangerous, expensive to do it, initially, it's really interesting to attract and identify people through that kind of immersive world. And I would just like to finish by adding that VR alone is quite just a toy in education. If you don't connect the VR experience with a proper analytic tool that is able to really analyze your skill progression, your competency, and that's the things we can do very easily because we have that skill. We have artificial intelligence, we have big data, we have cloud. It's very fashion words, but it's very efficient anyway. And so we need to use that combination to help the instructor to become not only the traditional instructor, but the advanced, digitalized, and I would say augmented instructor that the future of the education is awaiting now.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Laurent. Okay, coming over to you, Brooks. What can immersive learning look like in the K-12 space?
Yes, great question. I'm excited to talk about it. In the K-12 space, I think there is, especially right now, there's a lot of focuses on a lot of different things, and there's pressure to not do too much and to not do, as I work with schools and districts right now, there's pressure that they don't want to do too much new stuff because they're really overwhelmed with what they have going on right now. And I think as we learn more and more about immersive learning, we learn more and more that it's an answer to many of the problems that we see in K-12 with teachers striving to engage their students and get them to care. We see students and teachers really not being engaged in the curriculum and the content. Sometimes the students just want to check out because it's, maybe they don't listen or learn that style. And the teachers are getting asked to focus on 21st century skills, and they want them to be good communicators and collaborators, but also remember to do the content and remember to teach them how to work well with others, and don't forget their science curriculum and their computer science curriculum and all these things. They've got so much on their plate. And the powerful thing with immersive learning is that you can kill, using this analogy, you can kill like 5 birds with 1 stone in this way, because you can say, okay, I can get them to care. I can get them to apply knowledge and skills. I can get them to, I can assess their curriculum and see how they're doing. I can teach them authentic ways to interact with each other. And you've now done that in a short amount of time with only a little bit of prep for the teacher and saving them a lot. I have the slide up here. If you guys want to click on the top of your screen, you can click screen zoom and then click the middle one, or you can click the zoom button on the top right of that screen. But I wanted to talk through that just a little bit. As I mentioned, immersive learning is amazing in its ability to engage the students, and it's really easy for us as educators to look at the students and see that they care and that they're engaged and that they're having fun. But it's important that, especially for those people in the room who are passionate about this, I'm assuming you are because you're here in this panel discussion, that if it's a nice to have, especially in K through 12, they have so much on their plate that they're not going to be able to fit it in, or they're going to struggle to fit it in. But if you can figure out a way to be a need to have, then you are able to kind of break way into there and save time for them. So up here is an example. I just screenshotted one of our data dashboards that happens after a mission. And I wanted to use this because I think it shows how powerful an immersive learning experience like this can be. Now, for us, what we do is we bring in some hardware, and they plug it in and they turn it on their computer and they press play. And we've created a system that is a choose your own adventure, where the students truly get to guide themselves through this experience. And we send them to the outskirts of space, or inside the human body, or on a submarine, in many different ways and places. It's kind of like, like I said, the magic school bus, where they could go anywhere, but they're applying the curriculum they're learning in the classroom. And while they do that experience, we get to gather these important metrics. So again, do screen zoom so you can look at this middle screen, but we're actually able to measure the whole student, or the social and emotional learning score is a big topic in K-12 right now, because we realize it's not just about bubble sheets anymore. We know that there's a side of learning that has to do with your skills, your social skills, your emotional skills, and the intelligence is involved with all of those. And so we found a way to be able to get a knowledge score, a skill score, and a disposition score. And not just surface level, but actually having multiple metrics there. So with knowledge, we're able to give them a quiz and give them that normal assessment, so teachers can put in their subject mastery quizzes and take those during the experience. The kids will use those to get boost and to engage with other students. But we also have these Who Wants to Be a Millionaire moments, where they have to actually use their knowledge and look at the data they've gathered and look at what's going on and say, okay, this is the choice I'm going to make. And that's that application score. With skills, we actually are able to measure their collaboration and their communication and see how they're doing there. With dispositions, we can see their grit and their initiative, which is amazing. I mean, looking into the emotional side of it, we can watch and see, as a student struggles at some moment, or something bad happens, what is their response? How do they react? Do they step up, or do they fall apart? That's grit, right? And an initiative. And then we can show that on the top right, we can show their progress over time, seeing how they've progressed. And then we also have that individual student breakdown, so that the teachers can see where students are struggling or where they're doing well, and have that authentic teaching moment to say, hey, you know what, Jimmy? I know you've been working really hard at science. It's not maybe your strength, but I wanted to tell you how amazing you did when you took control, and you really had a lot of good critical thinking. And it was a stressful moment. You guys almost died on your simulation, but you were able to rein that in. And that's a skill that matters for your life. And I think that's my last thought with my final 20 seconds is, I think immersive learning has an ability, whether it's VR, AR, or XR, it has the ability to engage kids more powerfully than anything else, and allows them to practice and use and apply the skills that they need for the rest of their life. And for us, we wanted to find a way for kids to be able to collaborate in these immersive activities. And we're pretty excited about the direction that we're going. And I have so much to say about it, but I'd love to talk to anyone who wants to hear more of it. Thanks for a little bit of time, Amanda.
Yeah, thanks, Brooks. Great. Dave, what are some key benefits to VR in the classroom?
I think some of the key benefits are there's a practicality about it, and with the VR, it is multimodal, and it really does promote that active learning over passive learning if you're doing something very interactive. But I would really kind of mirror a lot of what's been said already. Like Brooks has said, there's something about immersive learning that it isn't just a nice to have, but it really is a need to have in the classroom. And like Laurent said, that analytics plays a big part, and having that is a big plus to this. And this is the same as Brooke has said too. But what's special about the VR when you get into, maybe getting strictly into one concept or one abstract idea, we're able to do things that can't be replicated in the classroom. You simply, you can't take the whole class and say, let's go under the sea and study about plankton, or I want to take you inside a plant to understand about photosynthesis, and that's something that we can do with the VR. And with the VR, the part that I like, I've been a teacher for a number of years, is that it really does allow that student to have a distraction-free, judgment-free environment. And distraction-free is obvious, because you're into a world, and it's unique because a phone goes off, my friends are fooling around on the side, I just don't care. I'm absolutely focused on what I'm doing. And it is a rare chance these days to get somebody really focused so that they can drill right down into something and get that, that kind of a deeper a deeper thought into that idea. So I think those are some of the things. And with the, having an interactive component to the VR, it makes sure that it really is a self-directed, self-paced learning opportunity. So I think there's quite a bit there to be had about immersive learning. As you've seen, all of us up here have come into this to this one field, but we've all taken maybe a different tack into it. But there really is something here, and I think it has to be put into practical use.
Much, Dave. Now, this question is for the greater group, so feel free to chime in with your answer. But Brooks, you had mentioned that we need to make sure that this VR, AR type of learning becomes more of a need to have instead of a nice to have. So what are some ideas that you guys might have of a way of making that happen?
Well, I may contribute if no one wants. I think that there's two key constraints today. The first one, and probably the easiest one, is about the hardware. We need to have solutions that are easy to deploy, not expensive, easy to use. So the ergonomy around that is something, and it's moving fast. So I don't think that constraint will be a big issue to deal with. The second one for me is the key, and it's a human constraint. It's the instructor. We need to make sure that that there is a proper education of a teacher to make them understand how to use the immersive world and the analytics around that, integrated into their learning management system, their school management. So that's not only using a new tool, it's really a revolution in education, and they need to be educated to become the instructor of the next generation. So that's really where we need to focus, I think, to have that tools used as a real education solution and not just like a toy.
Yeah, I would echo a lot with what Laurent is doing. We've had the privilege, I would call it, and as difficult as it's been, I've worked really closely with the onboarding and the implementation of our product, because we have been very aware of the difficulties with, like you said, getting the teachers and the educators to understand how to use it. And so getting it so simple that it truly is as easy as plug and play. I mean, the stories, I'm sure many of you have these as well, but I have been in classrooms or on phone calls where, the teacher's saying, your stuff's not working. And I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. And we're talking through it. And they're like, yeah, my screen is just black. It's just not working. And, I'm Okay, did you click the power button on the back? Oh, yes. Okay, sorry, never mind. It's working now, right? Like, we're dealing with a lot of teachers who are amazing, but technology has progressed while they've been teachers, and now they're trying to catch up. So that's a huge battle with this nice to have, need to have. We have to make it easy enough that the teachers don't feel overwhelmed by it. And then the only thing I'd add was back to the curriculum and what they're currently focused on. We've got to find ways to align what we're doing and the immersive part of what we're doing in line with the focuses and the objectives that they currently have and that they're measured on. Their money comes from these. They're getting directives from their legislators and their state reps and their district reps to push certain things. And if we're not those things and don't help any of those things, we fall into that nice to have category. So that's going to be a constant battle of us getting better and better at aligning with the needs that they already have.
Well, and if I can jump in for a second too, I think that part of it is the world and truly is changing. We've already been seeing over the last handful of years the need and the desire for additional STEM and STEAM education in the classroom environment. Parents have been clamoring for it. Teachers have been seeing the greater desire and benefits, the desire for it and the benefits from it. But now, I think especially in time of COVID, when the world really is upside down and changing so much, you've got parents who are homeschooling their children for potentially the first time ever, or dealing with distance learning. Teachers in the classrooms are having to learn to do more with less, fewer resources, potentially fewer teachers. The already thin resources being spread thin. So I think that the part of the ability of VR and AR to intelligently to help everyone involved, to help educators and parents all the way around to intelligently challenge children and students on a one-to-one basis by providing them with the appropriate skill level and skill-based activities, and then to grow and ramp up those challenges intelligently from there, and to then help also in a being very mindful of privacy needs and privacy laws, tracking and monitoring that performance over time. I think that is part of really the power that comes from this, in making this a need to have rather than a nice to have or want to have, because these tools, and that's really what they are, they're tools, they can truly help. They can truly help learn even the basic fundamentals of math and science and grammar and music in a very hands-on way, so, and an engaging way at that. So, in addition to everything that the other panelists have said, I think that there's a lot to be said for the fact that that engagement combined with the advancement and the interactivity and the ability to intelligently scale to the kids' needs can really help show people how VR and AR can really make a difference.
Amanda, I'll just add one more thing. With some of this technology, there just simply isn't another way to be able to really close that connection for students, in passing from, knowledge about something to a full understanding of that concept, and I think Todd, was touching on it too, that engagement and enjoyment does play a part, because as we know as teachers, that an open and engaged mind, is a student that's really primed and ready for learning. And that's the condition that we love to have, because that's when it really does happen, that kind of eureka moment, and you get that sense that this they've really connected with that idea. And with the VR or AR, it's important to go well beyond the wow, right? And really make it into something that is concrete. And when we do that, and I think we've shown some examples, or we're talking about some of the things that we have done and the experiences that we've had in classrooms, that it really does get to that. And that's a wonderful thing to see.
Great. Thanks to all of you. Such amazing information has been shared here today. We are a little past time, so I do want to be conscious of that and wrap this up. But everyone, please help me thank our fantastic group of panelists that are here with us today. Let's see a little F2 and F4 action out there in that audience. Can we get a hand for our panelists? There you go. Thank you. That was great. And please be sure to visit our panelists at their booth on the expo floor, along with several other partners exhibiting with us today. Thank you so much for your time. And again, panelists, thank you so much for sharing your passion and your knowledge on this topic with all of us. We really, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the event, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda.